I should have been hit a dozen times there. Hello everyone, my name's McQueeb. Welcome to the channel. I just wanted to take a little bit of time today to talk to you about the state of the Noita no damage run. If you're not familiar with my background, I'm probably best known for completing Noita without taking damage, which at the time was a pretty rare feat. I know that a handful of people have completed it up to this point. I often say during questions that I get on Twitch or on YouTube that completing a no damage run, or at least even attempting a no damage run, is one of the best ways to learn the game. You're kind of forced to really pay attention to those game mechanics that you might otherwise not really be aware of. And it's an amazing way to learn the game in such a minuscule detail. You get to know each and every single fight, how to sort of approach those situations, how to dodge projectiles, and hopefully not take any damage. So today I wanted to talk to you about sort of my thought process going into the run, why I chose the rules that I did, and how we're going to be moving forward from here on out. So the run came about because I was inspired by, believe it or not, Dark Souls challenge runners. The likes of Happy Hob and Lobos Jr. Amazing players in their own right. They all have their own style, sense of humor, attitude, and really create entertaining content. And that was part of what went into it. But I wanted to do something that stood the test of time when it came to this game. I was so enraptured by the game when it first came out, originally drawn to its graphical qualities, you know, the fact that every pixel is simulated, it's all calculated in-game, in real time. But you get to learn after a while that that's kind of not the best thing about it. The fact that the game can be played in pretty much any way you want. Even the final boss isn't the quote-unquote final boss, right? There's so many different endings to the game. There's so much exploration to be done that I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make my own little corner of the internet dedicated to this one major challenge. So I undertook the no damage run. After I completed the no damage run, I showed Nola Games and they were so impressed. They put a little Easter egg in the game dedicated to the McQueeb channel. It's a little beard logo that you'll see in the very, very final room of the game. And that's probably the greatest gaming accomplishment I've ever achieved. I was completely honored when they asked me if they could do that. It seems that since 1.0 has come out, they've actually gone a step further and officiated it with one of the tree achievements, the achievements that appear on top of the tree on the left side of the starting zone. It's one of those now. It's an official ending to the game, I guess, is to complete it without taking damage. The reward itself is worth 500,000 gold when you pick it up, and it's called Damageless. Now, a lot of questions come up. What's the difference between a damageless or no damage run and a no hit run? For the purposes of today's conversation and this run in general, they're essentially the same thing. If I had to break it down, because the dev uses very specific UI language whenever a hit is prevented, they use the word blocked, which means that, let's say we had fire immunity and we were set on fire, you would see the word blocked repeatedly over and over again on the player character. Now, technically, even though we're not taking damage, because it's quote unquote blocked, it would have been a hit, right? So I called it a hitless run or a no-hit run back in the day. Now let's simplify things and let's call it a damageless run or a no damage run. That way, I don't think there's any sort of disparity or questions that should arise as a result of that. It's literally just semantics at this point. If you finish the game and you get the McQueeb beard, you've got it. You've done it. That's kind of the goal now. Since the devs have made it official with the McQueeb beard in the game, I think that that is one of the new set rules now. It didn't exist back in the day when I created the rules, so I did want to sort of update them and bring everything in line. Noita was released on the 24th of September in early access on Steam. I started playing 1 week later. and streamed pretty much every single hour of that journey throughout the last year. I began my no damage challenge on December 15. Literally, actually, by the time this video goes out, it's probably 1 year to the day. And I completed that challenge on January 25th of this year. Now, I was able to get a few other people interested in doing no damage runs, that being Icy Wobbles and Let's Suffer Together, both very, very proficient speedrunners, amazing players in their own right. And I started to lower my time, or at least attempting to lower my time. Now, my original run was finished in 1 hour and 35 minutes. I was literally taking my time, waiting for enemies to come to me instead of going to them, and progressing very, very slowly. My next goal was to achieve a sub 1 hour run, and I came close a couple of times. I think the fastest run that I had made it to the vault in approximately 20-25 minutes. That would have been an incredible time if I was successful. Unfortunately, as most of my runs happened to end up, we did get hit, and I was forced to restart the run. Icy Wobbles was the first person to do a sub 1 hour run. And then Let's Suffer Together blitzed that completely, getting the time down to 41 minutes in the pre 1.0 leaderboards. Now, if you would like to complete a run yourself, by all means, you don't even have to follow the quote unquote McQueeb rules, because like I said, you can do this any way you want. If you want to take all of the really, really powerful perks that have been banned, or even spells or spell modifiers, go right ahead. That's totally fine. If you achieve that McQueeb beard, you've done it. That's all that matters. However, if you want to compete on the leaderboards on speedrun.com, there's a few things that we need to sort of take into consideration, and those being the original rules that I came up with. The reason I did that, created those rules, was to make the run mostly skill based as possible, to remove most of the luck aspect from that. If you were lucky enough to get, I don't know, invisibility as your first perk, you could pretty much walk through the rest of the game without too much hassle. As long as you had a boss killing wand, you'd be set, and that would, take away a lot of the quote unquote skill aspect of it. Now, I'm not the only keeper of the rules. This is a community project. I just happen to be the first person to come up with that rule set. And Icy Wobbles and LST, who happened to join me in that pursuit of excellence, they wanted to take on those rules. So they became the de facto standard. But as I mentioned before, I'm not the be all and end all. I'm not the community leader or anything like that. I was literally just the first person to achieve the run. Now, the rules that I have in place are set as such to, like I said, to minimize any sort of luck factor. So we'll go through them in a bit more detail. I've clarified a lot of the rules since then, and I'll also link to a Google document at the very, very top of the descriptive text underneath this video. And that's just so people can sort of reference them, get back to it, and I'll leave an open forum. If people have different ideas about what's currently in play, or what should be allowed or disallowed, then by all means, I think it's pretty straightforward what I'm trying to accomplish with this run, and I think the community as a whole, they'll come up with amazing ideas, and I'm not closed off to any of that. I want to make that abundantly clear that this is open to everybody. So what constitutes a rule set for this particular run? Well, we're going to go through the list, and I'll kind of explain each one very, very briefly. It's not the smallest list in the world. But again, if you've got ideas, hit me up, hit LST up. We're going to keep sort of an open page here that we'll take notes on. We'll discuss it as a whole. We'll invite other people in. This is not just me, and it's not just Let's Suffer Together. I want everyone to be involved in this if you're interested in competing. So, first things first, you're only allowed to run one mod, and that is the UI Timer Hits mod developed by Goki, which is available on the Steam Workshop. That's still being updated even today. The unsafe mod flag does need to be disabled or turned off. That just shows that it's not running anything sort of potentially game breaking or interacting with files outside of official mod files. You must show your mod list either before or after a successful run. You would just have to show that mod list on screen. Next, if you want to be competitive on the speedrun.com leaderboards, you will need a recorded run. So locally recorded using OBS or similar, you can upload to YouTube and link that. Alternatively, if it's a file that can be kept on Twitch or another video hosting site, that's totally fine as well. It doesn't really matter where the video is hosted, but we do need to see evidence of your run. Next, it has to be a single segment run. So that means that there can't be any quit outs or crashes, which sometimes may be out of your control. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that comes with playing this game. Things can get pretty wild in the game engine, and crash outs aren't too common anymore, but they can happen. So if that does happen, that particular run would be invalidated. You're welcome to use the main branch or the beta branch at any given moment. I've been assured by the devs that it shouldn't really matter which branch we're using in terms of stability. Obviously, gameplay changes can occur during those individual scenarios. You won't be penalized for that. Maybe future runs might be changed as a result, but at the moment, either is fine. This one goes without saying, but you're not allowed to take damage from yourself, the enemy, traps, or the environment. So pretty much anything that applies positive damage to the player counts as a hit. You must earn the McQueeb beard. It has to be in the room before you end the run. You don't necessarily have to collect it, but it does need to be there. It must be a random seed only. Set seeds or daily practice runs, things like that would not classify. So, yeah, entirely random. Set seeds are not allowed. You have to proceed through the intended gameplay path. Now, what does that mean? You have to take the portal at the end of every single biome. You have to go through that teleport portal. Black holes are allowed, believe it or not, but with the huge exception that you cannot dig around the outside of the level. So you're allowed to use it like through the middle of the stage. However you want to proceed through the stage is completely fine, especially in those high speed, no damage runs. It's definitely a viable option, but be very, very careful. If you sort of dig into the outside wall on the left and right and even proceed a little bit downwards without progressing normally through the level, then that may be counted against you. In the same token, skipping levels is also disallowed. However, I think that's pretty much covered in the previous point. Just to re-clarify that, for example, you could not go from the lava lake down to the third biome. That simply would invalidate the run. Now, this one's probably less relevant now because I haven't seen it since 1.0 has been released, but there's a Noita ghost, a shadow of a previous player that is running through the levels every now and again. You'll see them. The wand that they can carry is a wand that either the player has seen before or picked up before. Now, the problem with that is that it can become extremely imbalanced. It could be a game-winning wand by itself, and in theory, it's a wand that different players may not have available to them. So, for example, a wand that you find and have available to you is going to be completely different than ones I could potentially find. Now, like I said, this hasn't been a thing since 1.0. I don't even know if the ghost is still in the game. But if you do see it and you're brave enough to take it on, I mean, good luck. This is a pretty tough enemy to begin with. You're welcome to take the gold that is dropped from the ghost, but you cannot take any wands that are dropped. So now let's talk about banned perks. Anything involving invisibility, glass cannon, or teleportitis has been removed from the game. Those things would make the runs a little bit too easy. The only exception to that is teleportitis dodge. I personally wouldn't take that, and I wouldn't recommend anyone else take it either. It's too much of a liability and doesn't really work all that often anyway. Spells, teleport is off the table, not allowed to take that. Now, in terms of liquids, there's a few things banned there as well. So you've got ambrosia, invisibilium, and teleportatium. You're welcome to pick up flasks containing these, but you cannot come under the influence of them. So, for example, if you find an ambrosia flask, but you need more water or something else, go ahead and tip that out. Just make sure that you don't touch it because that would invalidate a run. Draft of Midas is something that's also been removed from the game. It would probably make your travels through the Holy Mountains a little bit too easy because of the amount of money you'd have. So again, if you see a bright blue liquid or that gold green liquid, stay away. Don't even bother touching it because if you do, again, your run will be invalidated. And then the last little sort of addendum to the rules as well is that the broken wand, you're welcome to take it to the Hisi base, onto the little anvil there on the bottom right hand side. It's, again, that's a huge risk because you're exploring so much more of the level, and Hisi base is quite notorious for being extra difficult anyway. Keep that in mind. You're welcome to do it. Good luck to you. So that's it for the rule set that I originally had created, slightly tweaked to be in line with the more current day situation. If you've got any suggestions, by all means, hit me up. I'm more than happy to take these on board. I'm not the only person involved here. LST has been quite active in the community. I talk to him on a regular basis, and we'd love to hear some of your input. You know, some perks that get added to the game, which, heck, there was an update today, might change this in the future. But like I mentioned before, this will all be taken care of in the Google document. Feel free to check that out. Folks, thank you so much for joining me today. You can catch me attempting hitless runs on Twitch most nights from 6 p.m. PST. That's twitch.tv/McQueeb. And it's just great to hang out with people and see how far I can get on a nightly basis. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to leave you with a small snippet from one of my recent runs, probably my greatest dodging achievement ever accomplished in a game. I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much. Take care. Oh, oh no. I think you've just witnessed my greatest gaming accomplishment. I should have been hit a dozen times there. Oh, the old ticker's going. Okay.